1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the lesson here for Home Sweet Home in the key of C. As you just saw and heard, I created 2 arrangements, the first one of which being a very beginner, straight ahead melody, and the second time through, certainly more of an intermediate to an advanced arrangement where we're going to involve lots of cross picking, as that's traditionally done there with the guitar solo when playing this tune. We're going to walk through that first arrangement right here on YouTube. We're going to put the tabs on the screen and bring the video on in. If you want to access the second arrangement and download the tabs, the audio tracks, and access the slowdowner, click the link in the description to learn how. Also, be sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's easy to do. Hit subscribe down there, hit the bell, hit the notification so you know when new lessons like these come out. Let's start breaking it down. Thanks for watching. All right, so let's put those first few measures up on the screen there, and we have a pickup that starts on beat 2. And let me play those first 4, and then we'll break them on down. So here they are. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And I went on just a little bit there. 3, 4, 1. Again, we have that pickup on beat 2. We're starting on the 3rd fret low E, and then the 3rd fret A string, and then open D. And those are all quarter notes there, just, all downstrokes. Oh. And as you notice too, I'm using this shape right here, this C/G as I often refer to it as, and essentially it just means we're playing a C chord with a G note on the bass. Makes for a really nice, thick, and lush sound. And we're going to do the same thing when we get to the F chord. We're just going to take that and bump it down 2 strings, or bump it down 1 string really. And again, we have a F/C, so F with a C note in the bass. And if that doesn't make all that much sense to you, that's okay. But it just it's something that we use a lot, and it gives it again a nice thick sound, and I can get some nice ringing and connectiveness into the playing. So see how all 3 of those notes are ringing over top of each other? And that's what I'm shooting for. You certainly could go, use your 3rd finger to hop back and forth. But again, being efficient, trying to get it connected, and that's what we have here. So, and then measure 2, we have a 0-2 hammer on the D string, and then I strum. And then D string again, and then strum. So that's what the 0-1-0-0-1-0, it's beamed together, 2 eighth notes, essentially just meaning a down-up strum. And if you look below the staff, there's pick directions, right? The staples are down, the V's are up, and if you follow my videos, you know how important those are to follow, to almost perfect. Okay, then moving on, we go to the F chord, so we just take that same shape, and we just bump it down 1 string, and then the 1st finger, of course, needs to bar on the B and the E string to make our F. But we play the 3rd fret D, so it's the F note there. We strum. And then 2nd fret G, and you're already there. And we strum. And the F is just for one measure, so. The next measure, open G, but we go back to the C chord, right? So open G note, but C chord, and then open G again. Then 3rd fret D, which I'm gonna catch with my pinky. Okay, keep everything in place, but catch it with my pinky. Yeah. So all 4 of those together. 2, ready, go, 1. So that melody sits right within the chords for the most part, right? Then moving on here, the next 4 sound like this. 2, ready, go. And I went on just a little bit there. So we go into the first ending, right? Measure 8 marks the first ending, and the first ending is actually 2 measures long. We'll talk about that. Measure 5 though, the melody note is on the D string, 2nd fret, and you're already there, so I hit the D note, I strum, or D string I should say, D string, and then strum. Then open G, strum. Next measure, 3rd fret on the D, the 3rd finger, and we're gonna play a G7 chord, so first finger is gonna go on the high E, 1st fret. And that right there is a G7. I'm not getting the bass note in there, of course, but just... And the melody note is on the 7, is on the F. So we play that note, and then we do, we down up like twice, if you will. 1, 2, and 3. So a couple strums in there, right? 1, 2, and 3. And then 2nd fret D, and then back to 3rd fret D, strum, open D, strum. And then we go into the first ending. And then we go back to a C chord. We play the D string, strum, 2-0 pull, strum, and we'll land on the 3rd fret A string, which is not on the screen there, but yeah. Let me play all 4 of those for you. 2, ready, go. And so if I put measure 9 up on the screen, and then essentially it's just, well, let's do 9 and 10. So the 1st and 2nd endings here. But we'll play that 3rd fret low, that A string, and then we hop back into our pickup. So beats 2, 3, and 4 are the pickup. We go from measure 9 back to measure 2. And we have the pickup in measure 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then measure 2. So again, measure 9, 3rd fret A, and then we do the low string. I'll use my 3rd finger, and then I'll come back to the 3rd fret A with the pinky, and then open D, and then 0-2 hammer on the D is the measure 2. Now if I repeated it, and I was coming around the 2nd time, I would go from measure 7 to measure 10. And they are slightly different, the endings, because I'm going to get into the B part. Right, we're gonna go into the next section. So, measure 10, play the 3rd fret A. Again, we land on the same bass note. We strum, then 0-2 hammer on the D, open G, and then measure 11, land on the 3rd fret A again. And then we have to pick up into the B part. G string 2 times, open, then 2nd fret, and measure 12 would go to the B part. All right, so I'm gonna play the whole A part now. I'm gonna play, I'm gonna play all the way down, and I'm gonna take the 2nd ending. Okay, I'm gonna take the 2nd ending into the B part. So here we go, top. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And we went on to measure 12 there, the B part. So let's go ahead and take a look at the B part when you're ready. All right, so measure 12 is the official start of the B part. I just got one measure there. We came from the pickup, and then we play the first fret B, and then we strum the F chord, right? So 2 and 3 and then first fret B again. Again, very simple. 1, 2, and 3 and 4. And then the next 4 measures sound like this. Ready, go. Okay, so measure 13's a little tricky here. There's a couple different ways we can kind of approach it. One we can do, of course, as written. We play the open B string, and I have to come off of that, right? I was on a bar, but now I have to kind of come off that bar, and then strum. I strum just the B and the E strings together, right? And then second fret G, and then I come back with the bar. It's a little bit of movement in there, right? In the left hand. So otherwise, you know, you can kind of just, you know, some of those strums can be really in the back, and we don't have to bring them forward. And if we're playing with other people, those things kind of just pass by real quick, and some of that dissonant sound you don't hear as much. And again, they just go by so quickly. So if you don't get your fingers quite in place, you know, just hit those melody notes and kind of keep your strum going. So if I go for measure 12, you know, I didn't quite get to the fingering, but I kept strumming and I kept playing. I brought those melody notes forward, and the strums get not as loud. But it totally works to do as written too, and kind of get your fingers into place. So then measure 14, we go back to a C chord, but G melody note. Strum, open G again, and then 3 on the D with the pinky, and then back to 2. The next measure, strum, G string, second fret D, nothing moves there, right? And then measure 16, we're gonna do the G7 chord, and we'll play the 3rd fret on the D, and then B and G, kind of teasing some cross picking that we'll do in the second arrangement, but and back to 3 on the D, 2 on the D, 1, 2, and 3, 4. Put those 4 in context. 2, ready, go. Okay, let's put the next 4 up on the screen there. I'm gonna go into the first ending. And then I would go from measure 19 to measure 12. That's the repeat there. And again, this first ending is 2 bars long. So measure 17, I'm still on that G7 chord. I play the 3rd fret on the D, strum. Then I play the open D, strum. And then here we go, the first ending. Go back to C. 2nd fret on the D string is the melody note, strum. And now we're gonna do kind of a chromatic walk up, and I've heard this in one of the Tony Rice recordings. I think it was the dobro player that actually kind of might have done this, but this is kind of common. This is a little theme, if you will, that I will often hear people do, is they chromatically walk up into the second half of the B part. Just a little bit of a nuance of the tune. You know, you hear some kind of recordings that really stand out of this tune, you know, and a lot of people know this tune because of. Any case, just a simple little chromatic motif or theme repeating the B part. So measure 18, 2nd fret D strum, 3rd fret D strum, and then in measure 19, you notice I go to the 4th fret D, and then I just strum open strings, and then I had to go open G, strum open strings. And again, it's one of those things, it's gonna sound a little dissonant, slow, but when you're playing with the recordings and the things are going by, it just passes by so quick you can't hear it. Plus, I'm not gonna make those strums like very prevalent in the playing. They're gonna be in the background, almost ghosted, if you will. But I kind of have to bring them forward, or I have to at least play them here as I break it down. So again, those strums are very quiet. So now that's the first ending. So the second time I would go from measure 17 to measure 20, right? So measure 20 just kind of ends it. Measure 20, 3rd fret A, strum, 0-2 hammer on the D, open G, and then measure 21, play the 1st fret B, and then you notice there's a pickup there that goes into the second arrangement. Otherwise, we would just go back to the beginning, to strum. So, then beginning. But again, I have the second, measure 21, ends it, and then picks up into the second arrangement. So, again, just to reiterate, measure 17 goes to measure 20 that second time, and it sounds like this. Okay? So that's it for the first arrangement for Home Sweet Home. Again, if you're already not a Premier member and you want to download the tabs and the audio tracks and access, of course, the second arrangement, the more intermediate advanced, where we do lots of cross-picking, click the link in the description below to learn how. And yeah, hope you enjoyed the lesson. Take care.